thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name's Leah. So let's recap and review Love and Marriage DC. I'm gonna try my best not to ramble, but y'all know I ramble because I got somewhere to be in an hour. I was about to say 10 minutes, and I was like, Leah, why was you making this video if it's 10 minutes? But I got an hour, so I'm gonna try my best. So bear with me. Right, so let's get into it. The episode opens up where it left off, where we got Chris and Monique basically parting ways after they couldn't, like, Monique was upset that Chris didn't have a spiritual awakening in Africa. So he's outside in their hallway in a nook area. I'm talking to a producer. Another producer is in their bedroom talking to her. And let me say this. I kind of get what everybody's been saying online, and even in, like, when I see other people's reviews on their comments section where they're like, Chris and Monique aren't needed. And it's kind of like, I see what they mean, because a lot of people viewing this show feel like their relationship issues are contrived. And I understand that, because it's like, I don't think they're contrived, but I get why people would say that they were contrived. Because the reason why I don't think they're contrived is because when I looked at watching the episodes, and you know when they do their couple confessionals, when you see Jamie and Erana together, even if they got beef, they're still slightly closer together. They're either shoulder to shoulder, or they're still like somewhere where their bodies are touching. Same with Quick and Ashely. But when you see Monique and Chris together, there's an apparent separation. Like, you can see them not sitting near one another like that. So I do believe that there is an issue. Because body language can tell a lot, but I feel like a lot of people just are over it, because Monique hasn't painted the best picture of herself, let's say that, or their situation. And then I also saw some people taking issue with the fact that she's been called like a gold digger, but it's kind of like she kind of put herself in that box. And go with me here. Monique has been saying for the past 10 years, this has been kind of like a constant issue for them, that Chris is very surface. He doesn't go deep with her. He's not vulnerable, and she wants that from him. And it's like, so for the past 10 years, you just decided to keep having kids with this man, all the while you're upset that he won't be vulnerable with you. So it's like, so what kept you there? So then it's like, it had to be the money. So that's why people keep saying like, oh, it's gold digging. Now, I don't think she's a gold digger. I just feel like I don't understand why you would put up with that if for 10 years you've been asking for this man to like change his attitude and his behavior towards talking about feelings of emotions, and he hasn't done it. It does kind of make you look funny to people. And it makes her look funny to me, because it's like, for the past 10 years, you've been asking him to change or do a 180, and he hasn't, and you just was complacent with it. So then it kind of does lend to the question of like, why do you want it to change now all of a sudden? But I do think, honestly, my opinion of this is twofold. It's twofold. One, I don't think they have adapted very well to him not being a part of the NFL anymore. And that's not to say financially. I just think it's like the position he is in the household. So a lot of people who are like, when it's like, you know, being an athlete is their life, like from being a baby all the way to being in their like 30s, that's all they've done. And then like for those who acquired access into like the NFL, the NBA, you know, the MLB, is it MLB? Yeah, MLB for baseball and stuff. I ain't that great, you know, I don't know stuff. But then it's gone, or they have to retire because of an injury, or they just want to keep playing, but they're like, they no longer can produce the results that the younger generation can. It's hard for them. It's also hard in the sense of like them not being around to them being around. If you think about it, they're like, Monique probably got used to him either going to practices every day, because they practice even on the off seasons, going to practices every day, traveling for events, traveling for games, you know, doing certain things that now that he's not that anymore, it's probably a hard pill to swallow for Chris, as well as adapting your household to this person being around. And maybe those things that she had issues with 10 years ago, about him not being deep, about him giving surface energy, she was okay with it because it's like, well, he's not around that much, so I don't want to cause issues when we're together. Like, I think it's okay. You kind of are okay with it because it's like you have such a small amount of time with them when they're not practicing or not doing things. When they come home, you just want things to be like, we good, you know? So I think that's one thing. The other thing I think is, I hate always bringing this up, I think on ROA, or like RHOP, maybe things were different and we might not have been able to see the issues. Like, we saw them, but we only got like a sprinkle of it because the show was predicated on Monique. So they were hooked to keeping this idea that they were like this picturesque family. Because if you look at their household, there's so many pictures of them like in like intimate settings, like that one picture in their bedroom where they're in the tub. Then you got the other picture where like he's like, it's a portrait of him naked and her naked and him holding on to her. They have their wedding picture. They have that other picture which looks like an engagement picture. But all these pictures of them being like this or this status couple. But now, because we're putting a magnifying glass on their relationship, it's like, okay, there's definitely been issues here. And maybe it was easier to mask. It probably was definitely easier to mask on Potomac because we weren't focused in on that. When Monique stepped on the scene on Potomac, all we cared about was her having 4 homes, the issues she kind of had with Chris's mama, and then the fight situation, her beefing with Ashely with the whole drunk driving thing, and the rainbow baby, and then getting pregnant. None of those things really had anything to do with Chris other than the mama. And that's about it. And that's it. And maybe her asking for more help from him and starting the podcast. But like, not each season that she was on was it predicated on like the issues in their marriage. But they end up hugging. She started crying. He picked her up off the floor like a child. They resolved the situation. This situation did show how misogynistic he is in the sense of, with Chris, in the sense of what he thinks is, Chris just does the bare minimum, okay? He don't cheat. He feed his kids and he provides financially. But people don't understand that, like, when you decide to merge your life together or merge yourself with somebody else, there needs to be more. There has to be more. Because after a while, money goes away, looks goes away. There needs to be more to a relationship than, like, you doing the bare minimum, bruh. But they hugged. They committed to working it out. So the next scene we see is of Ashely. Not Ashely. It's Brittany and Jamie. So Jamie doing his fatherly duties, going over to Brittany's house and putting together like a shelf or like a bookcase. It looked like something you got out of Target. It looked like a Target bookcase because it had the little numbers on it or like the letters on it because that's how my bookcase is. But they basically decided, you know what? Brittany takes it upon herself to be like, I'm going to check my dad. She basically told her dad like, yo, you don't be hearing us when we talk to you, and you have to understand we're adults now. Like, you have to have a conversation with us. And it kind of lends to the fact that, like, what my dad said, like, when me and my sister reached 18, he always says, I can no longer tell you what to do, but I can suggest what to do. So he was like, I hope that you take my suggestions. And that's mainly what Jamie needs to start transitioning to. Like, you have a 30-year-old, a 25-year-old, and a 21-year-old. You can no longer, like, really police them. Maybe a little bit, like, you might need to police Jason a little bit more because he is disabled, but not to the point where he can't live on his own. Like, there's a lot of people who are blind, who have seeing impairments that live on their own. There's a lady who's a whole lawyer. Like, in Congress, I think. Like, she's a lawyer. A lawyer. Like, clearly her, like, she's able mind to be a lawyer, to pass the bar, to go through 4 years of school. So there's many things that technically, just because you can't see, that does not mean that you can't live a fulfilling life. And I think that Jamie and Erana probably have to change their mindset as to what they see for their son's life going forward now that he is 21 and wants to take that next step. It was a cute scene. Brittany and Jamie dapped each other up because she said, I'm respectfully checking you. He laughed it off. He built her like little shelf and they moved on. The next scene we get in this scene, like I said, is Winter and Monique having a talk. Winter is basically catching up Monique on all the things that have been going on while she was in Africa. She talks to her about the meetup she had with Tasha, Erana, and Brittany and her. And Monique is like, okay, girl, give me the tea. So there were two things in this conversation that I didn't agree with as it pertains to Winter. One, the whole ambushing thing. She tells Monique that she felt like the ladies ambushed her. But I'm like, how can you be ambushed when you are the ones who invited, like, Winter was the one who decided to have this whole sit-down luncheon with the ladies. And you had the luncheon for the specific reason to talk and get some things straight with Ashely. So how was it an ambush? That doesn't make sense. Number two, the whole Erana playing both sides of the fence. Her asking you, like, are you and Ashely okay, is not playing both sides of the fence. That's a general question that even if I was Erana, I would ask you after we had a lunch where y'all had an argument. I'd be like, oh, have you two decided to talk to each other? Like, how's things going in the relation? Like, are y'all good? So that didn't make sense to me for her to be like, she plays both sides of the fence in the whole ambushing thing. They then get on the conversation about rumors about husbands, because Winter tells Monique, she's like, they got tired of hearing about Kevin. It was Kevin this, Kevin that, and we're bored. And Monique is like, who said that? And she was like, Ashely. And Winter's like, Ashely is acting like I haven't heard things about DJ Fun Size. So Ashely was upset. I'll post a little clip of the little screenshot on Twitter. She was not happy that Winter called her man DJ Fun Size. But quick is short to tell. I'm like, I know that man is probably like 5'4" or 5'3". No, I'll give him like 5'5", 5'5", 5'6". I'll be nice, 5'5", 5'6". He don't look that tall. He don't look that tall. So she kept calling him Fun Size. And Winter's whole thing is like, Winter's thing is like, I heard rumors. So then Monique, I guess, assumed that Winter was like, oh, you telling me some tea? And Winter's like, no, I'm not telling no tea. What I'm telling you is that she said that they've heard rumors about their husbands, but like they don't listen to them. So she was like, if you can't judge, like, so how are you judging me when you've heard rumors about my man and my thing? And like, I'm kind of like, Winter, well, you keep sharing. They didn't share the rumors they heard about their men's. So what's the issue? So then Winter says, well, I've heard things about Quick. I've heard things about DJ Fun Size because DC ain't that big. It's a big city, but the circles are small. So she didn't elaborate on the rumors. She just said, I've heard rumors about him and I kept it pushing. Like, you can hear rumors about my man and keep it pushing, but that's either here nor there. So then Monique is like, okay, I'm going to have to get things together. Trying to play producer because the thing, saying, like I keep saying, the same thing she got mad at Giselle for, you're doing it. You're saying Giselle was messy and Giselle is miserable and she's always trying to kick up the mess. You're doing it. You're doing it. That doesn't make sense. And I am no fan of Giselle. But, ma'am, you're hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. So then we get this scene with the Tylers going to play goal ball. So it is a sport that is made for, I guess, created or made for people. It looked like, what's it called? Like foosball, where you try to get it in like soccer. It looked like a version of soccer, but like everybody is kind of like reduced in it. Well, I don't know if reduced is a good word. Enabled in some way. I think that's a better word. Enabled instead of reduced. Enabled. Because we find out that Jason is really good at this game. He's on a lot of sports teams. So like he loves this game. Like he's really great at it. So they put blinders on the people who can see. And then I think that the shorts that they had on were like weighted in some way. So I guess for people who can't use their, like, you know, who are no, I don't think it's paraplegic. Is it paraplegic? Because I feel like the other one is like when you're all the way paralyzed. But in this game, you can't be all like, because you have to be able to use your body. If the bottom of your legs don't work. what happens is like you put it like one person stands and then the other people are supposed to like be goalies, like basically like soccer, but you can't see, you're not supposed to talk to each other because I guess some people can't communicate as well, and the ball has like a bell in it, so you're supposed to like use your like listening and your other senses to like catch the ball. Jason was kicking Jason was winning because Jason kept rolling their ball. They kept trying to like guard it and they couldn't get it. It looked like a really fun game. We ended up finding out that he did get accepted into doors. So he was excited about that, which I'm happy for him. And then Jason and Jamie had a conversation. And Jamie basically was like, I hear you. It's just that like I'm a parent and I just want to make sure that you're good. Like everything you do, you're good. But I'm happy he got accepted. Like, I hope he's able to live on his own. Like, because, you know, he's 21. He want to spread his wings. Let the boy spread his wings. Ashely's event. It's for her podcast, Fun Times Moms. We end up meeting her co-host, Alicia. Pretty lady. And they're having it at a selfie bar. It was cute. The food looked good. It wasn't that many people there, though. Like, when she was giving her speech, I was like, shouldn't you wait till there's more people to come? But she gave her speech. She talked about how, you know, she used to not feel accomplished or fulfilled as a mom. But now that she's like doing all these things, she's proud of herself, the whole rigmarole. So then Monique shows up. Monique put such a spin on this conversation that she had with Winter that I was like, you're definitely on your Giselle time, ma'am. Because she sits down with, they sit down in one of the little selfie sections, and it's her, Erana, and Ashely. And they basically having a conversation, and Monique opens up, and she was like, oh, I had a talk with Winter. And Ashely seemed to be like, okay. Erana seems to be okay. She told me she felt ambushed. So Erana and Ashely are like, what? She said she felt ambushed. She said she doesn't like the fact that Erana plays both sides of the fence. She also feels like she knows. She said she also got tea on your husbands. And I was like, she never said she had tea on their husbands. She just said she heard things about Quick, just like they've heard things about Kevin. So then Ashely is in her feelings. Erana, and I'm looking at Monique like, if you knew Winter was coming, why did you wait till now? Like, why didn't you wait till Winter got there so they could have the conversation? So when Winter walks up, she already knows it's about to be some mess because Ashely directs it to her and she was like, what are you talking about? Like, so you know something about my husband and we ambushed you? Like, Winter didn't even sit down in a little section before they talked. Then Monique's sitting there like she just looking at it back and forth, not even trying to help Winter, even though she was the one that brought up the conversation. So Winter sits on the corner of the chair and she's like, Ashely, anything I said I can own. I did feel like it was an ambush. And they're kind of like, how's it an ambush when you're the one who introduced the conversation? And then Winter really said, I also felt like Erana played both sides, and she brought up the whole comment. And Erana was like, I would even ask you this today if we had just, like, we haven't seen each other. The last time we saw each other was at the table. So if I were to see you today at this moment, I would say the same thing. So then Ashely is getting like irate. Like she was like, I don't know what the hell is going up on that shaved side head of yours. And like, she's going off on Winter. Winter's real calm about it. And like, she's like, Ashely, like looking at her. And I'm looking at Ashely like, girl, you're at your own event. Why are you yelling at her like that? And I low-key think Ashely got mad because Winter wasn't reciprocating that energy. So she probably felt like Winter was like looking down upon her or being condescending. But I was like, honestly, you played yourself, girl. Because there was no need for you to be yelling at her like that. Because Ashely was just sitting there looking cute. Not Ashely, Winter was just sitting there kind of looking cute and like, okay. So then she's like Ashley's getting angry. So she was like, what rumors have you heard about my husband? And then Ashely says the thing that I hate women say. As a woman, you gonna do me like that? Bitch, yes, I'm gonna do you like that. You was talking cash money issue about me and mine. Why can't I talk about you and yours? That whole like, as a woman, shut up. Because women who only say that, legit women who only say that when they get hit with their own tea after they've been spraying somebody else. And then I also didn't like that Winter kept saying, like, this sounds like victim shaming. What are you a victim of? Getting scammed? What are you a bit like? And it's your fault you got scammed. That's not victim shaming. You decided to marry a man during the panoramic whose you didn't go vet their home. You didn't see what they were really about. You chose to tie yourself to that person. So you got scammed because you was stupid. That's not being a victim. You was just stupid. So they're arguing back and forth. Erana got on my nerves, screaming, "Stop, stop." And I'm like, Erana, shut up. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking at Erana like, do you not know this is what reality TV is? People having conversations that they normally wouldn't have, or being in situations that they normally wouldn't have. So for her to keep yelling, and I'm like, the person who you should be yelling at is Ashely, because Ashely was the only person yelling. Like, Winter didn't raise her voice. Ashely was the main one yelling, calling her called the lady out her name a couple of times. Like, the person you should be really upset with is your friend Ashely. So then Winter and Ashely are going back and forth. Ashely's like, girl, the only stuff I've talked about is stuff that you've told us. And Winter's like, okay. And Winter said, I didn't say nothing about your husbands. So then now somehow Erana's like putting herself in this like she said that Winter, from Monique's word, that because Monique said she heard things about y'all's husbands, when the only person that Winter said she heard stuff about was Quick. It wasn't anybody else. It was DJ Fun Size. That's the only person she heard stuff about. She didn't say nothing about Jamie. So then Erana is like trying to jump in and try to talk about it, say what it is. So then Alicia comes up and Alicia's like, we have a Q&A, like we got to go. So like Ashely gets mad because Winter said something about like y'all not telling the truth or something like that. And Ashely's like, who's not telling the truth? And like she's getting like irate. So then she gets up and then Ashely walks right back in there, going off on Winter. And Winter's still sitting there kind of like, okay, girl. She's like, get the F out, get the F out, get the F out. And Winter's like, I ain't want to be here no way, so you not hurting my feelings. So Winter grabs her stuff. Monique calls herself trying to escort Winter out. Then Erana comes out trying to escort Winter out. When Winter's like, bro, I was leaving anyway. You don't have to be here, Erana. And I was with Winter. I was like, girl, she's leaving. Why do you feel the need to tell her to leave again? So then I was glad that Winter told Monique, you came back and like basically put a spin on this story. Like you came back and mixed everything up. So this is low key, like high key, low key, your fault, ma'am. And then Monique was like, well, I was just trying to fix it. No, you were trying to be messy, and you succeeded in your mess. And you're not that good at it, because on the next episode, both Winter and Ashely gonna be calling you out. Because then all of a sudden, Ashley's like in her confessional talking about, I feel like she has a vendetta out for me and my husband. And I'm like, Ashely, you've been rude to this lady since episode 1. So what is this vendetta that you speak of? You've basically clowned her for the past 3 episodes. And now that she came back and kind of like hit you kind of where it hurts, now she got a vendetta, or she's trying to kick up mess with you and your man. Stop. If you can dish it, then you got to be able to take it. If you can come at Winter's neck, then Winter can come at you and your man's neck. And that's just what tea is. That's the tea. That's all it is. So I will say Monique didn't like the fact that Winter said she acting ratchet, because that's what people call Monique after putting her hands on Candace. They called her a gutter snipe. They said she was ratchet and she was a hood rat. And you can tell she still got in her feelings about that. But if you do ratchet shit, that's what people are going to say about you. So just deal with it. So Winter leaves. She was like, I got dressed up for nothing. And I'm not mad at her. So then Monique goes back to sit with Ashely. And Ashely basically was looking at her like, that's your friend. We don't have to be cool with your friend. And Monique was like, I think I made it worse. And Ashely said, yeah, you did. And I said, at least y'all calling it out. Okay, so the last scene we see is with Erana and Jamie. They're actually going to look at a property. We find out that they have like a realtor company. So it seems like they buy properties and try to flip them. But the house they're going in is horrid. Like, and I was confused because they were like, they had the home for a year. And then we end up meeting their other business partners, another married couple. And I'm looking at all 4 of them. So nobody decided to like gut out everything. We haven't We haven't taken everything out. We haven't painted the walls. Y'all have had this property for a year, and they kept calling it the property from hell. But I'm like, it doesn't look like it's like anybody would want to live there. The front part of the house looks a mess. You got them rickety stairs, and I'm like, okay, so when are y'all gonna mow the lawn? When we gonna get a fresh paint, a coat like on the house? When are we gonna rip out everything and put new stuff in there? Y'all haven't done any of that. So I'm like, of course, it probably is gonna take a minute. And they also go to check to make sure there's no squatters. But it looked like somebody in there, because they said somebody looked like they doo-dooed in one of the closets, and they blurred it out. And I was like, oh my God, is that real like human feces? I said, bitch, that's a hazard. Y'all need to clean that house. Y'all need to go in there with hazmat suits on. That's gross. So you can tell that there's tension between Jamie and Erana. They come outside and they decide to have a conversation after the other couple leaves. So what we find out is that after Ashely's party, Erana was supposed to go to her best friend's party that Jamie was hosting. There seems to be two totally conflicting stories. When Erana pulled up to the party in her car, Jamie told her to like get out the car, and I guess he was going to park the car or something, but he started yelling at her. Erana felt embarrassed, and so she decided to leave. Jamie's whole thing was like, I wasn't yelling at, like, I yelled at you, but I wasn't being disrespectful. I was just trying to get you out the car so I could get in the car. And Erana's thing is like, whenever you have an issue at the club, you take out your frustrations on me. And he was like, okay, if you know that's how I act, then why aren't you helping the situation? And I'm like, Jamie, no, that's a you issue. If you're taking your frustrations out on your loved ones because you can't handle the stress of your club, that's poor management of your own skills, of your like emotional meter. You got to figure that out. She don't need to figure that out. So he was like, I didn't yell at you. His whole thing was like, no, he said, I did yell at you, but I wasn't disrespectful. And I mean, people can yell and not be disrespectful, but like, I feel like tone is the issue, Jamie. Your tone was probably disrespectful, even if you didn't say nothing disrespectful. And like I said, Erana was embarrassed because she was like, there was a whole bunch of people outside, and Jamie was like, it was 3 people outside. And then she was like, well, there was people on the balcony looking down. And he was like, I know. They were probably like, who he yelling at? And it's his wife. So I got in the car and pulled off. So then she tries to be like, you made me miss my best friend's birthday. And this part, I got to side with Jamie. I didn't make you do nothing. You chose to leave the party. And I'm looking at her like, yeah, you chose to leave. Just because he pissed you off or like it made you feel embarrassed, there was no need for you to just get in the car and go to the house. Like you could have totally walked into the party, ignored your husband and hugged your best friend and peeled, like, you know, and had a good time. But you decided to peel out. And then what we end up finding out is that like I guess her anxiety or her emotions were just really high because of like she double booked herself. She went to Ashely's event and then she went to her best friend's event. And Jamie said like, well, why would you double book yourself at your friend's birthday party? Like you showed up late. That ain't got nothing to do with me. And I'm like, yeah, you double booked yourself. He didn't. Like that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make any sense. Like you double booked yourself. So he was like, you can't make me the bad guy. But then I guess they apologized to each other because he was like, I ain't yell at you. Like his whole thing was like, I yelled, but I wasn't disrespectful. And she was like, but you were. And he was like, I wasn't disrespectful. I yelled, but I wasn't disrespectful. So they end the conversation. They kissed each other. And he was like, we need to take your friend out. So they taking their friend out, and we basically find like that's just how their relationship is. They'll argue with one another and stuff like that, but then in a flip of a hat, they going out to eat and having a good time. And that's where the episode ends, y'all. So that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and drop down in the comments below. Deuces.